I want to talk about a lot of things and kind of your journey to get here today. Let's start with the transferring, the transfer portal and going into the portal as the number one or two top player in the portal. What was that process like? The pressure you were dealing with, and I'm sure every school in America hitting you up.
Yeah, I mean, it was overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
Obviously entering the portal, I knew that there'd be a lot of schools after me. And, at first, I think it was kind of like an honor just to see, what type of schools and the caliber of the schools that were reaching out to me to just prove that, what I put on film can really, translate to anywhere in the country, which was really cool to see.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I was very strict with what I wanted and, how I was going to transition into the right fit for me, the right offensive system, and just being able to get around the right group of people. And, as soon as I visited here and met with Coach Stoops, I mean, at the end of the day, it was a no brainer for me because everything he told me came to life. And,
Yeah.
I trusted him and he made sure that we were going to get the right offensive mind behind me. And next thing you know, we hired Coach Cohen and, Coach Woody was the first person to hit me up as soon as I got in
Yeah.
the portal, and we started watching tape right away. And, everything just kind of came together, and I felt like this was the best fit for me.
So when you committed to Kentucky, you weren't yet sure who the offensive coordinator was going to be, right? Or did you have an idea? What was the timing there with Liam Cohen?
Yeah, I didn't know. I
Yeah.
didn't know right away. Like I said, I trusted Coach Stoops. He told me that, if you put your faith and belief in me, that we'll make sure we have the right guy for you.
Mhm.
And, next thing I know, I committed. A couple weeks later, Coach Cohen was announced that he was going to be the guy. And, talking just with previous players that have
Mhm.
played in that system and now they're back in that system. I mean, it's been nothing but successful. And just being able to be coached by Coach Cohen has been awesome. I mean, he's a brilliant mind and he's definitely a player's coach.
It's gotta be cool too to have someone that's been in the NFL and had
Yeah.
that experience with the Rams. Have you kinda seen it, part of that knowledge that he learned working with Sean McVay and those guys?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, I was just talking to him recently. I was just watching the Senior Bowl and they had a couple players mic'd up and
Mhm.
almost the same exact play calls they had to
Really?
reiterate was exactly what we're learning right now.
Yeah.
And, it's a little bit different from what I'm used to, kind of being in a no huddle spread where a lot of things were signaled in from the sideline,
Mhm.
where now I'm kind of getting under center, calling plays from the huddle. And I mean, that's just going to help me develop much more into a better quarterback.
Yeah. Without naming names, what's the craziest thing coaches were saying to you when you were in the portal?
I mean, there was a couple crazy things. I'm not going to lie. Um, there was a couple schools where after I told them that I was going to be coming to Kentucky, I mean, they were still going after me.
Yeah.
They were still, trying to make it work, trying to make it happen. And I mean, you got to respect the recruiting. You got to
Mhm.
respect, the hunger to get the top players. And I just think it was really, a different process for me going through college and actually playing at this level
Yeah.
and almost just becoming a recruit all over again. But, I could have those much more mature conversations.
Yeah.
So, I had a lot of crazy attacks coming at me, but overall, I'm happy where I landed.
So the big story in college sports right now is NIL, obviously. And then, with your background in the portal and trying to figure out where you were going, how much did NIL come into play? How much were the conversations about NIL with different take the fans through how that works when you're a top quarterback? Because obviously NIL is some factor for a decision. It may not be the main one, maybe very small, but NIL comes into play at every school, especially the big time ones that you were talking to.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing with NIL is just making sure there's opportunities
Yeah.
there. I mean, obviously, being the quarterback of a university, you'd want to know how you can, showcase your name and your name,
Mhm.
image, and likeness, and profit off of what you've accomplished so far.
Mhm.
And now entering into a new school, you want to make sure that those same opportunities are there. And for me, entering the SEC, I mean, it's one of the biggest stages in all of college football. And just about every school that I was talking to, just about every single one had opportunities for
Mhm.
NIL. I just think the main thing is creating the right balance of NIL opportunities as well as, style of play and fitting
Yeah.
into the right system.
I was going to ask you. You mentioned style of play. What were the things that were most important to you when you were looking for a second home?
Yeah, the biggest thing for me was first having, like a collaborative relationship with the offense coordinator.
Mhm.
Obviously, being able to play the past 4 seasons and having a good amount of snaps under my belt. I didn't want to walk into a situation where I was relearning everything from ground zero.
Mhm.
And I wanted to make that clear where, I could kind of take a little bit of my knowledge of already playing
Mhm.
and just collaborating with the offense coordinator of the school that I'd be going to, and we
Yeah.
kind of mesh together and create a plan that suits best of us. And that's exactly what has been going on here with Coach Cohen because I'm questioning his brain every single day.
Mhm.
Obviously, I'm learning his new system, but at the same time, there's many different points of when we're watching film that I could kind of chime into what I'm used to doing and how he can kind of collaborate and make it similar process of what I've done
Yeah.
before.
What were your conversations like with Will Levis when you were in the portal, when they were recruiting you? Did you get to know Will at all through that process?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Mhm.
I actually knew Will in high school.
Mhm.
We competed at different camps together.
Yeah.
Us both being Northeast guys.
Mhm.
And when he first got word that I entered the portal, he kind of just hit me up and was like, "Dude, if they're gonna land Coach Cohen, there's no better quarterback coach to be developed by in the
Yeah.
country."
Mhm.
And clearly, he's a product of the transfer portal.
Mhm.
Transferred here in 2021, collaborated with Coach
Yeah.
Cohen, and next thing you know, he's about to be a first round draft pick.
Mhm.
And being able to hear that from him was definitely a reassurance. And when I came down here and visited for the first time, he was there too, just kind of talking to me, making sure everything was smooth, and just kind of explained his process going through the portal. And I've been very respectful of Will and his process. So I mean, it was a no brainer
Mhm.
for me.
When I was here interviewing Will a few months ago, I remember we were in this facility doing a podcast with Will, and he said to me, he's like, "Devin Leary's here today." But I
Yeah.
wasn't allowed to tell anyone because no one knew you were visiting. Do you remember when that
Yeah,
was?
yeah, I
And
remember.
I remember I saw Coach Woody, who we'll talk about in a second, the wide receivers coach, and he told me too. He's like, "Devin Leary said he goes, I think we're gonna get him." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Dude, let me break the news on
Right,
that."
yeah.
But yeah, Will was excited about it. I know that. Let's talk about Scott Woodward, the wide receivers coach, who you mentioned his name a little bit, who really was the one who recruited you because it
Mhm.
was before Liam Cohen got the OC job. He was my receivers coach when I played in college at UMass. What did he mean to your recruitment? What was your guys' relationship like?
Yeah, Coach Woody and I, we actually go way back.
Mhm.
So I remember in high school there was a satellite camp up in New York actually, and I originally got invited to the satellite camp by University of Florida. They were going to be there, and they were recruiting me pretty heavy at the time. And Coach Woody and at the time Coach Whipple were both
Mhm.
at UMass,
Yeah.
and I remember it was like my first like 3 throws I made the day, and Coach Woody was immediately on me. He was like, "Dude, where are you from? What's your name?" And uh, later on at the end of the camp, they ended up offering me a full scholarship to UMass, and he was recruiting me really hard, and I ended up committing to NC State out of high
Mhm.
school. And I remember just like it was yesterday, as soon as I entered the transfer portal, Coach Woody hit me up and was like, "Dude, I want to come see you. I want to
Mhm.
want to talk ball with you right away." Like I still remember the way that you threw at that camp up in New
Yeah.
York. And ever since then, it's been really smooth sailing. I mean, he's another player's coach. Like I said, he's a young guy that understands the game, has a great
Mhm.
offensive mind. Actually, was able to call the plays in their past
Yeah.
bowl game. Um, I know he wants a couple back. He's already told me that.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, he's been awesome to me just because he's been so transparent. I
Yeah.
mean, he's kind of been that go-to guy for me through my transfer portal process under Coach Stoops, and
Mhm.
anything that I needed or anything that I need to know about this university, this school, he was my
Mhm.
right-hand man. And I mean, I can't thank him enough for bringing me here.